Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says she will resign from Congress in January, a year before the end of her term. A stunning move after months of tensions between her and Donald Trump. I'm sorry, Dad, but this is just so fishy to me. It doesn't add up. It's
Nothing
strange.
about Marjorie Taylor Greene adds up, let's face it. She's the one who accused Jews of shooting space lasers on Earth and all kinds of other crazy, calling Democrats a cabal of pedophiles. She was an adherent of the crazy, nutty, far-out QAnon conspiracy.
Right, but right when she's starting to fight for healthcare, talking about political toxicity, fight for the Epstein files, right when she starts doing some good things, now she leaves.
It's very hard to fathom. You expect me to crawl into the head of Marjorie Taylor Greene and figure out what she's doing? Maybe she just couldn't stand it.
I don't know. I don't buy it.
I agree. I'm a little bit baffled.
She's one of the most controversial figures in American politics. I understand that.
And one of the best known, probably the best known member of the U.S. House.
Yeah.
Of 435 members, she and AOC are the two best known.
Right. I understand the attacks against her have probably gone up since her spat with Trump.
Substantially.
But again, she is one of the most controversial, one of the most attacked Congress people we've ever had. I don't buy the idea that this is because she's getting attacked. She's always gotten attacked. I don't buy the idea that she's trying to run for some other office.
Whoa, stop on that. It's possible.
Yeah, but
Let me finish. It's possible that she broke with Trump so that she could run as an independent in 2028. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is one, at least, remotely plausible scenario.
Yeah, but people run for office as governors, as presidents, as senators. The idea that she needs to leave the House to run.
Let me explain why.
Okay.
When people run as governors, senators, they're running within their own party, and their position enhances their status within their own party. But if she ran, she'd run as a maverick. She'd run as an independent. And by getting out of the House, breaking with Trump, she establishes her status as a right-wing alternative to whomever the Republicans put up. I'm not saying that's the reason, but that's the most plausible thing I can think of. She's, of course, denied it, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know. It all just seems very strange to me because,
of course,
even past Republicans who break with Trump, Kissinger, Cheney, they all finished their terms. Yeah, they told us fairly early on that they were not going to run again.
But none of them was even just contemplating running for president, it seems.
Yeah, you really think that's it? I don't know.
No, I'm not saying that's it.
It just all feels weird and fishy to me.
I agree.
Especially right when she's like starting to really go, full blast into the Epstein files. Suddenly she's just not only just saying I'm not going to run again, she's resigning a year early.
That gives her all that time to establish her credentials, independent of Trump and independent of the Republican Party, and to build support and a war chest for a presidential run. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not even saying that's likely. But I am saying, as you point out, this is so strange that, I'm just reaching for one conceivable explanation.
Why wouldn't she just switch to being an independent? If it's
weaker. This is the strongest thing that she can do.
Yeah, but it also takes her out of the limelight.
She has a way of finding the limelight.
Yeah, but the fact that she's in Congress making all these waves has put her on a national stage. She was on The View. She's on interviews across all these platforms. Suddenly she just disappears from Congress. I don't know if that gives her much power other than existentially.
I'm not saying that's the explanation, but I can't think of anything else that makes any sense.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's some unknown thing that's happening here.
Very possible, but I can't comment on what's unknown.
I agree. Neither can I.
I want to make one more point about this charge of sedition. While Trump is basically, baselessly, with no foundation, charging these people with sedition for simply stating the law, he has pardoned persons, convicted felons, convicted of, guess what, Sam? Seditious conspiracy.
Right.
Including Stuart Rhodes, the founder of the far-right, violent Oath Keepers. So the ironies with Trump just abound. A baseless charge of sedition, even a claim to hang these people, and yet pardoning or at least commuting the sentences of those actually convicted by a jury of their peers of seditious conspiracy, which had the result of the Capitol Hill riot, the insurrection, the coup that injured over 100 police officers and led to at least 5 deaths directly or indirectly.
Okay, our final topic before we get to questions. Viola Ford Fletcher, one of the last survivors of the 1921 Tulsa race massacre. She has died at 111 years old, but she's leaving behind a century-long push for justice.
Well, she didn't get much of it. I'll have to say her lawsuit was dismissed. The Tulsa race massacre is not well known, but it is one of the most horrific acts of violence in American history. Back in the early 20th century, the greatest concentration of black wealth was not in New York, Sam. It was not in Harlem. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in what was known as Black Wall Street. And in 1921, on the thinnest of pretexts, a white mob, aided and abetted by law enforcement, invaded Black Wall Street, destroying homes and businesses. We don't know how many people were killed, but it was likely in the hundreds. Mass murder. And this wasn't an isolated incident at the time. We've seen this in other communities like Elaine, Arkansas, or Rosewood, Florida. Massacres of black people by white people with absolutely no accountability whatsoever. And guess what? This was covered up for decades. And it wasn't until late in the 20th century that there was any awareness of the Tulsa race massacre, pushed by people like Viola Ford Fletcher and other survivors. She is the oldest, last survivor of this horrific act. In Donald Trump's sanctioned history of the United States, the 7076 Project, how much treatment does the Tulsa race massacre or these other race massacres get?
None.
None. They don't want you to believe these kinds of things have ever happened in this country. They want you to believe that with a few minor blemishes, the white European Americans of pioneer stock, the settlers, were nothing but benevolent exponents of Christian charity and democratic beliefs. Never mind the horrors of slavery, the Indian massacres, the race massacres, the lynching, the Jim Crow. None of that really matters in looking at American history. Obviously, there's a lot to love in American history, but we'll never become a better society. We'll never improve ourselves. We'll never be great if we wipe out the dark side of our heritage and try to overcome it. You can't overcome it by blotting it out.
Good point, Dad. Before we move on, I wanted to add one more thing. DOGE, the Department of Government, officially has been dissolved. It no longer exists. And I just wanted to point out the utter failure and embarrassment that this DOGE agency was, headed by Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
And what government position was he vetted for and confirmed for?
None.
None.
Since the Department of Government Efficiency was formed on January 20th, 2025, the U.S. has added $2.1 trillion of debt since that point. So this government agency, this DOGE, has not saved the American people a penny. In fact, we're even deeper in debt. So the thing that it promised, it was an utter failure in. Not to mention,
probably contributed to the debt, as we've pointed out many times on this show, because when you fire people, they're not spending, they're not contributing, they're collecting unemployment. You're probably not saving a penny, but actually adding to the deficit.
Right. Not only was it a failure on paper, a humiliation on paper, it might have also been one of the most nefarious things done in recent memory to the American people. Not just the mass firings, not just the overturning of people's entire careers and lives. Whistleblowers have warned, and have been warning for months now, that there is possible DOGE-related Social Security data leaks. Now, that there's still a lot to be uncovered about that, but I just wanted to point out how horrific DOGE was to this country, how horrific Elon Musk has been to this country, the federal employees that work for this country, and the American people who he has compromised their data, their information. A horrific blight on Elon Musk, on Donald Trump, and on this country. And I am a person, personally, who has been negatively affected by their actions. I hope someday me and others who were negatively affected get some sort of justice. But I just wanted to put that out there. An utter and complete failure. Elon Musk and Donald Trump should be ashamed.
Worse yet, while people who have been fired and are suffering, are struggling to feed their families, put a roof over their heads, what's Donald Trump doing? Living the most lavish, extravagant lifestyle, throwing it right in your face, costing our government tens of millions of dollars for his golf outings, having these obscene, opulent dinners and parties, gilding the Oval Office with gold, redoing the Lincoln bathroom in marble and gold, smashing the East Wing to build a $400 million gold ballroom to mirror the Palace of Versailles of the French kings. He throws it right in your face because he doesn't care and he has no shame. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a member today.